Today I'm making a little bit of a different video talking about how to play Dice Masters over Google Hangouts or Skype or any of those sorts of things. So if anyone is living in an area kind of like mine where the Dice Masters scene kind of ebbs and flows and builds in momentum and then kind of backs off, then this is a really good tool for you if you're one of those people that really enjoy the game but don't have a lot of people to play with. Alright, so you need about 4 things to play Dice Masters online. That's not counting cards and all of that. So the first thing is a webcam, some way for your opponent to be able to see what's going on your side of the world. So I have a Logitech C920. Before I bought that, I had a Logitech C320, something a little more low end. Quality isn't the most important thing because you're going to be doing a lot of the explaining of what cards you're using, of what dice you're rolling yourself. So the webcam quality isn't the biggest thing in the world. Some people even use PlayStation webcams and that sort of thing. The second thing that you're going to want is a tripod, or really just some way to mount your webcam. Before I bought this tripod, I bought it at Best Buy for like $20. But before I bought that tripod, I actually just took 2 empty gravity feed boxes of Dice Masters. I think it was Justice League. Stacked them on top of each other and put my camera on the top there and then put something on top of that to weight it down, like a stack of cards or something. That's really all you need. Some way to get a good shot of the mat itself or of whatever surface you're using wherever you're placing the dice. I also put on here this little asterisk. You don't need a microphone because usually they're built into the webcam, but if you want something that has a little higher quality audio, that actually is probably a pretty good investment because they're going to be doing a lot of listening to you, and if they can listen more easily, then that's all good to go. You don't need it, but it's nice. And then obviously you need an internet connected device. Some people actually mount their phones and use their phones instead of webcams, but also use a phone to kind of see what's going on. But I use a laptop. Before this laptop, I used a desktop, and it's all relative. As long as it's connected to the internet and you're good to go on that, then you'll have no problems. The fourth and final thing that you'll need, probably the most important thing as well, is a community to play with. This is a community that I am part of. This is a group on Facebook called Dice Masters Online, and it's actually a group that I'm an admin on. We have a ton of members, and a lot of people just hop on here and post just saying, hey, I want to play. Anyone want to play? Cool, I'll hop on. And you can just kind of get into contact with each other, set up a time to play, or just play right then and there. We actually run tournaments on this site as well, just fun stipulation tournaments. Sometimes we do unlimited, sometimes we do a strange variant, but they're a lot of fun, and we've had a lot of people really enjoying them. So this is probably the most important thing, is finding a community of people that want to play via online. And they'll be able to help you a lot with understanding how to set your camera up and that sort of thing. Speaking of how to set up your camera and what your setup should look like, here is mine. So as you can see, I use a mat. I have my tripod set up and my camera pointed directly straight down. There might be a slight angle, and you can set it up on an angle too. I've got my laptop off to the side, and I'm going to use that laptop. I'll probably reposition it just so that I can see my opponent's board a little better. But I have my webcam running, and I'm connected to Google Hangouts. So let me now jump over to what my setup looks like from my opponent's perspective. So this is what my setup looks like from the computer's perspective. So this is what my opponent would see if I were playing a game currently. As you can see, I've made it to where the field zone, the reserve pool, everything within the board itself is visible. If you cannot film this in such a way that your opponent can see your cards, that's not a big deal. It's not a problem because at this point you would have hopefully sent your team list or walked your opponent through the team. I recommend sending a team list. I used to do this through Dice Masters DB, but now that they're closing down or already have closed down, depending on when you've watched this video, there are a couple of other websites to do it through, like Retrobox DM, that sort of thing. So send your opponent your team list, walk them through your cards, tell them what you're buying each turn, and you don't have to necessarily film this if you do all of those things. As long as you're catching the board itself and your rolls, that sort of thing, then you'll be good to go. As for actually setting up a Google Hangouts session, it's actually very easy. You just go to hangouts.google.com. If you have a Google account, then this is very simple. You sign into your Google account and you go to this website. Then you'll be greeted with this screen. You'll click that video call button there in the center, And once you do click that, this screen will pop up and it'll say, it'll be an actual pop-up and it'll say invite people. You can either invite them via email, or you can just copy that link and private message that link to whoever you're playing with on that Facebook group or whatever group you're using. It's very simple. Once you've done that and they join, then you'll see their screen, they'll see your screen. You'll also see your screen in the bottom right-hand side, and you can click it and make it bigger, see what you like about it. There's some really cool features and setup stuff within the options menu of Google Hangouts, so I highly recommend you go in and play with that. I've seen some really cool people who do some cool overlays where they can actually display their teams on screen and just get the centered area of the screen showing the board itself. So there's some pretty cool things you can do. I highly recommend using Google Hangouts. I like it a lot. It's very simple to set up. A couple of good tips on etiquette when playing online. Anytime you're putting something in your bag, get a shot of it. Anytime you're shaking up your bag, I guess get a shot of both of your hands. Doesn't necessarily have to be both of your hands, but it's just kind of good etiquette. If you're taking something out of the bag, if you can, get it on camera, show, roll, that sort of thing. Because you're not playing in person, this is sort of the etiquette that you use, because they can't see you. You're not sitting right across the table from them. So your goal is to make it as easy as possible for your opponent to see what you're doing, so that you guys can have a good, fair, even, fun game, that sort of thing. Dice counters for your health and your opponent's health are always nice. You can keep health in multiple ways. That's always good too. So if you've got one of these little march down little counter things, you can keep health that way. You can keep health this way. I've played a lot online before. I think I spent 3 or 4 nights a week last summer, playing online just every night with a friend of mine. And one of the things that I've found is if you have a bad or spotty connection via Google Hangouts or via Skype, just making sure that both of you know exactly where you were and then trying to figure out where you pick up is important. So keeping track of the board state and being wary of if something happens to start dropping, just knowing where you are is important. And deciding, I guess, beforehand if this is a really, important tournament style play, or if you're just playing for fun, deciding beforehand if something drops, if one of us drops, what happens. You don't want to get into an argument halfway through a game because you were winning and this was, a big deal for you, but you dropped, or vice versa. Your opponent doesn't want that either. So just kind of figure out what you guys want to do if something happens, and go from there. If you're going to buy your opponent's actions, or even if you're thinking about it, I would always bring an extra set. I guess not bring, but have an extra set of action dice just kind of sitting off to the side. So if you're gonna pick up one of their actions, just kind of have, I guess, set up somewhere that you can keep track along with them, and both of you remove the die from the field when it's bought. So for example, if my opponent buys 2 big entrances, and let's say orange is big entrance, just get rid of them. And then you know how many are left that you can purchase, because if things are constantly moving through the bag, you don't want to try and keep track of that while playing the game itself. Yeah, so those are some good etiquette tips and things that you can see, ways you can catch your camera. Again, you don't necessarily have to have all these things that I've set up. If you have 2 boxes and something to weight down the camera, you are good to go. If you've got a headset and not some fancy microphone, you are good to go. This is a pretty easy game overall to play over the internet. I've found, at least. Just got to find some people to do it and have a little bit of equipment, and you're good to go. So yeah, that's the basics of playing Dice Masters via Google Hangouts, via online, however you want to talk about it, however you want to describe it. It's a lot of fun, and as I've mentioned before, if your scene around your area is a little slower at times, this is a great way to keep playing the game and enjoying playing with other people, even if you can't do it sitting face-to-face with them. So if you have any more questions about how to play online, just let me know, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.